What's going on, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about PvE. More specifically, we're going to talk about what you can do to optimize the chances of you guys clearing the Hive of Gorgon. It's only been out for a few days now, 4 days, and I have about 20 hours experience in the Hive of Gorgon. I have cleared it. I've cleared some of the bosses multiple times. So I'm going to give you guys information that'll probably carry over to other PvE situations. And with that being said, I will do my best to organize the information I'm giving you guys. So we'll start off with team composition. Uh, Team composition is going to be 2 healers, 1 tank, 7 DPS. And my suggestion with the DPS is to coordinate for all the DPS to be running some sort of rend. And most importantly, but I mean, the tank running as much rend as he can as a tank is kind of a given. So as long as he knows what he's doing, he should already have that. As far as the DPS goes, I think that's going to be on you guys to coordinate, find out where and who can bring what rend to the table. So that is very important. I don't know if you can clear it without any rend, but I'll tell you this. Anytime you have bosses that have 6, 7 million health, uh, if you don't coordinate and try to get some rend into there, it's gonna make everybody's time in there much more of a struggle. So we'll start going over a little bit of information about the first boss. And the first boss doesn't really have a DPS check mechanic like the second boss does, besides killing all the crystals. There's going to be these black crystals that drop, like, I don't know, 5, 8 of them periodically throughout the fight. You have to be able to clear those off the map every single time. That is going to be the only DPS check during the first boss, which we'll go over the mechanics. I'll show you it firsthand with some video clips and stuff like that. Another thing you guys need to know is that there is a 4-hour timer for the Hive of Gorgon as of now. Also, range weapons are very, very good on the first boss. Again, I'll go over the mechanics to show you like video clips. I'm sure you guys have seen a handful of this stuff as is, to be honest, but there's going to be these rock pillars that come up off the ground. You want to be on top of those. When you have that height advantage, it's a built-in mechanic where you do more damage than if you're on ground level. So range does very well on the first boss. So guys, you can see what's on the screen. We're going to go over resistances and gems next. This is my build, which I actually just put a YouTube video up recently. If you want to see it, it is fantastic for the Hive of Gorgon and really any difficult PvE content because of what we were talking about before. It provides your team with a ton of rend. I would argue the same, if not more, than a tank does. So if you look toward the center right of the screen, you'll see my armor, you'll see the weapons, the jewelry. You could just copy the gems that I have in there because what I did was I ran, like I said, I have like 20 hours of experience in it. And I was switching between ambers from slash protection gems to onyxes. And the one that's on the screen is the one that I have cleared the Hive of Gorgon with. I ran these gems the entire run and I did just fine. So I have little snippets on the screen of what each gem does. If you're unfamiliar, you have the nature ward, the amber, You have the physical ward, the onyxes, all the way to the right. You'll see that's what I put on my weapons. I recommend that because gems tend to be situational, including this one, but this one does corrosion damage that deals 8% void damage per second for 2 seconds. So even if, you know, the situation doesn't arise for you to get the empowerment from the gem, you're still doing that damage. So I've been using it for a while. I used it on the boss, and that's what I recommend. In the center, you'll see my amulet. It has nature protection on it and health. Refreshing, I don't necessarily recommend on an amulet. It's just what I had, and I wasn't going to re-roll an amulet. Uh, the other very crucial thing I wanted to go over is the first boss you want to run as a light DPS 100 con. Um, Myself, nobody else has, months of experience in it. But I will say from the time I spent in there, when I went in there trying to do 50 con, it was more of a struggle to stay alive. I saw other players having the same struggle. At 100 con, it gives you some flexibility, some survivability, uh, to not get one shot mechanics. And as I stated before, as long as you guys can take down the crystals during that phase, just take your time and everything will be okay. All right,
So
this
that's it.
has two mechanics in it. The glowing rocks, do not be on them. When they're glowing, it will insta kill you. These are the crystals. Get rend on them, even though they're crystals right here. Rend it. Get them all down. First priority over everything. This section, we're going to talk about his stamina bar. Once it gets to 0, he's going to drop down. This is when you can do the most damage to him. I don't get the best positioning here, but rend him right before he goes down. And where you want to hit him is up on his upper back by the back of his neck. That is the sweet spot. All right, guys, this next section, we're going to go over 3 mechanics. I'm going to use the same clip for all 3 examples so you could see them all in one clip and you can kind of process them all happening at one time. And I wanted to take this opportunity to say another thing that's really crucial, at least it's probably going to be for the next month or so, is when you do this, I know it's difficult, but one of, if not the most important thing about being successful in this raid is you're going to need to be in Discord. And during these next clips, I'll try to point out an example why. So there's one mechanic where he's going to target somebody. I'll show you the clip in just a minute. He jumps across the map onto a player, and he does that. You have a glowing thing over your head. If you're not in Discord, um, you can't call it out, right? And you'll see in this clip what happens when you're not in Discord and you can't tell your teammates, "Hey, he's about to jump on me." It's not good. So the first mechanic from this clip that we're going to go over is this right here. You see the little bubbling of the rocks? Stand underneath it, and that is how you get on those rocks. That's how you'll get to max height, and that gives you bonus damage being on height. Ranged is really good in this fight. The second one, I have the original audio muted, but he lets a scream out. He'll mark someone with a red dot over his head, and then he'll jump on them. That's why being in Discord, being able to call out that he's about to jump on you, and this doesn't happen, causing a lot of people to get killed, is important. All right, so actually 2 tips here. Anytime he jumps or smashes his feet down, you want to dodge because he's going to do like an earthquake effect, and it does like a quarter of your damage. But the thing I want to show you is when he jumps back, there's going to be like 5 or 6 rocks on each side of him right here. And if you're in front of it, you need to either dodge or I recommend blocking. All right, so in case I didn't go over, I want to show you a few things. If you don't break all these crystals, it will do a one-shot mechanic. When he does the scream and the molten rocks go off, it'll kill everybody. And as you saw right there, that is the thing over my head. I dodged, avoided the damage. That was an example of that. You saw the tentacles come out of the crystals. If you don't break them, it's just bad. These crystals are the only DPS check in the first boss, and this is the mechanic that kills you if you do not take them out. So that is it as far as the mechanics go for the first boss. I'm going to tell you a few other things along the way that are useful just for this Hive of Gorgon raid in general. So you can only get items to drop from the bosses. No named items, no mobs drop loot to my knowledge. And you can only get loot from the 3 bosses once a week. Besides, you can get the artifacts. So if you clear it one time, you don't get the artifacts. There is an artifact that drops from every boss. The first one's going to be the Azoth Inductor Pants. Second one is going to be the Trishna Warhammer. The third one, I believe, is the band. The what is it called? Elemental Band, I believe it's called. Artifact. It's a jewelry ring. So if you beat it and don't get the artifacts, you do still have reasons to run it aside from just practicing it. So I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, those are all the mechanics. If you guys study those, honestly, the first boss, just take your time, relax, be coordinated, focus on the few mechanics you need to. Be in Discord, and I think you guys will do just fine. All right, if you've beaten the first boss, congratulations. Enjoy all the good loot. I'm going to show you a little clip that's between the first and second boss. We're taking this path to intentionally try to skip some of the ads. You'll see, just watch the video of which ones we kill. That'll open the door right there, and you can proceed with the dungeon. So something I wanted to go over is, as I stated, the first boss, I run 100 con just to play it safe. It's much smoother. After that, soon as I beat the we beat the first boss, I go back down to 50 con. I run 50 con as a light DPS for the remainder of the Hive of Gorgon, except one part. And when we get there, I'll show you, and I'll show you why. And the other thing I would like to mention is I think I already have actually, but this build that I have, I love it. I don't think I would change anything on it. Having Sondering Javelin as a light DPS during, like this phase right here, I'm pretty sure Sondering Javelin puts more rend on enemies than any single other ability. So, that's what I like. All these ads that we're coming across are super rended. All right, so this next step is pretty straightforward. You're going to enter this area. There's going to be 2 buttons to the right front and 2 buttons to the left side, and then 2 more on the right back end of the area. You have to kill the 2 ads that are in the button area, as you see right here. 2 people have to stay and stand on the buttons. They will not press until the ads are killed there. There's going to be 2 Medusas, which you'll see here, that will get aggro on somebody, follow them around. She will freeze them in place, stun them, and then pretty much insta-kill them. So It might take a few tries for you guys to get used to, but this area is not too difficult. Once 6 people are standing on the buttons, I believe I'm going to pass it here in a second. You'll see it's to the left of where I'm at right here. There's a door that will open and you can proceed. So that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. Something I wanted to mention real quick. I'm going to try to give you guys little tips as we proceed. So I have oak flesh balm on my hot bar. Highly recommend running it. Um, I can honestly say that it's saved me a few times and almost can make or break a run. Just having that, just if you take a little bit of damage, just pop one. It'll prevent you from potentially going down and causing chaos. All right, if you've made it to the second boss, congratulations. We're going to go over the mechanics, the things that you need to know to be successful, and potentially mollywop this boss. First and foremost, it is a DPS check. You need all your DPS to run as little con as humanly possible. I run 50 con because I have one amulet that has con on it, and it'd be kind of stupid not to run 50 con here. There's going to be certain mechanics that are going to be RNG, right? We'll go through the steps of the mechanics, but there's going to be certain ones, like there's going to be a cage of vines that go over people randomly. DPS don't really have that hard of a time getting out, but if it gets on a healer or a tank, you need to help them. Be in Discord, they'll call it out and get them out. First phase is going to be rend DPS. That is what you want to do. That's what we're doing here. And what he's going to do next is he's going to do a little mechanic and he's going to spawn ads. He's going to spawn birds and wolves. And you want to focus, the most important thing to focus off rip is going to be the birds. They give empowerment, and it's almost impossible to deal with this boss if they have a lot of empowerment. So kill birds first, kill wolves second. That is the other vine RNG thing that I wanted to talk about. You'll have a red circle underneath your feet. You can see your own and your teammates. So don't stand on your teammates. Don't grief your teammates if you have it on you. All right, guys, if you made it past the first phase, because there's going to be 3 phases for the second boss fight, there's basically 3 rooms where you fight in the first phase in the first room. He's going to move to the second room. Once you beat that, he's going to go to the third room. So the mechanics we went over, that covers the first phase. I'm going to take a second to explain some of these mechanics because second phase is pretty hectic, and I want to break it down for you guys verbally before showing you because it's so hectic that it's hard to show you. I don't really have the time to explain it in a clip, right? So this is what I got for you guys. If you get the boss to 70% health, he's going to go to the second phase. In the second phase, there's going to be, and maybe in the first phase, there might be this first one that I didn't mention before, but it's RNG. So there's going to be vines that is going to cover 1/3 of the area. It's either going to be the left side, the right side, or the center. This is pretty easy to see because you'll see red highlight on the ground, right on the floor. You'll see it expand. Once it gets full, vines come up. Pretty easy to avoid. The thing that makes that mechanic difficult is going to be when there's the ad phase, which is the DPS check. If the bird or wolf are on the other side of that, or if they're in the vines, you're stuck DPSing it with ranged weapons. It's difficult, blah, blah, blah. So you have that. You're gonna have the vine cage, which we went over, right? If it gets on a healer or a tank, help them out. The boss is gonna do a ground smash. That's a mechanic you have to watch out for. He's gonna do a tail whip. So, and even the first boss and the second boss, more the first boss, but like, so you can attack this boss a lot from the behind. Even the tail whip does a lot of damage, but it's not really gonna one shot you. So, but he does that. And then there's going to be ads with the birds and the wolf, which we already went over. So after that, after the ad phase, so I got some notes because I wanted to make sure I tell you guys all the mechanics. Uh, this is going to happen every single time during the second boss. After the ad phase, it's always going to be a mechanic where the four pillars around the map, you need to be by one of them. As soon as the ad phase goes down, the next thing you should be looking for is where's a pillar? Let me get close to one of them, because what the boss is going to do is similar to the vines where he puts a thing over your head, but this time it's going to be like two red glowing eyes, right? And he's going to do that to one person. Whoever has that has about 4 seconds to get between a pillar and the boss, and then he will lock you. He'll root you in place. He'll rush you. Obviously, if you're not behind a pillar, it's a one shot. Not only is it a one shot, but he finishes you off. You're out. You're out. That's it. Um, so I'm going to show you about a 20-25 second clip that has, I think, every single one of these mechanics in it. So you can see it firsthand. Just look out for the things that we just went over. And good luck. It's really not too difficult once you have experience and a good team and Discord. And if everybody is applying Rend, those things will lead your team to success. All right, so everything we just went over, most of it happens in this clip. There was the ground smash that he just did. There was the tail whip. So we're just constantly just trying to put down DPS. Rend, see the red line on the back? See that? It's going down the what is that? The right side from the beginning. We have ad phase. Trying to get all the ads down, trying to get the bird down first, as we went over. Now we're focusing the wolves. I got the vine cage on me right now. Someone else has a vine cage on him. I don't believe it was a healer. So we just let them do their thing. So after the ad phase, like I said, first thing you got to watch out for instantly when the ad phase ends. See the eyes over that guy on the right? Boom, charged after him. If you were on the other side of the map, but not by a pillar, boom, you're dead. Insta death. At 30% health, he will move to the third and final phase. So there's going to be a point where you're super close to 30% health and ads will spawn. If you think you can burn that boss down to 30% before the ad phase ends, do that. We just did that there. We didn't take any extra debuffs because we killed him before 30%. And you could do the same thing on the very first phase at 70%. So we're going to show you a third phase and just kind of narrate as it happens, right? So you go in here, as you see, the vines just came up in the middle. He has 30% health, and there's only 2 pillars on the third phase. So, like where I'm at now would be a terrible spot if he was about to put somebody's put the thing over someone's head and smash it, blah blah. So you see those dots over those guys' head? They're going to have a red AoE underneath them. and they're gonna spawn 3 sets of vines as they move. So obviously that's what you want to do. You want to move so it doesn't spawn up underneath your feet. So you have to watch out for that on yourself. If you're on the boss and you have that and you stay there DPSing with the other DPS, it's over, you know? And same thing, if someone's just running around, watch out for that, right? The last thing I want to tell you guys about that second boss fight, which is fairly important, is if you have too many health regen debuffs, which is the wolf, since you're going to be focusing the bird, right? On the final phase, focus the wolves if that is the case, and that might be able to squeak you through to victory on that. Because what happens when you have too many of those wolf regen debuffs on you uh, is after the ad phase, what he does with the health regen is he goes in the middle, he does that animation, and he will suck the health from the players, us, as his health regen. So if he has too many stacks of that, it's gonna insta wipe everyone, just like in the first boss with the crystals. So with that being said, if there is a lot, but basically on the third phase, what you really realistically want to do is when the ad phase ends and he goes in the middle to do his health regen, pop everything. Pop everything. Bring serums, wait for your health to get a little bit low, pop health potions. Even as he's running back to the middle, pop hearty meals. I've done that a few times to push me through it. That is very, very crucial. And then another thing I wanted to bring up to you guys, we already went over the gem situation in the beginning of the video, but I wanted to point this out. This is something else that's very important, potentially, because like I said, what I run, what I showed you guys in the beginning is I don't change my gems anymore. For the first like 24, 36 hours, we were switching between different gems, trying things out. Now I just run what I showed you guys and I do just fine. But just so you know, from what we understand, ads and the boss do strike damage. So if you're taking more strike damage, get more strike resistance in your build. And the mechanics, like the vines that pop up and other mechanics, that does nature damage. So if you're dying from that, add more nature resistance. We're going to go over the few mechanics that I think you guys are going to need to know after beating the second boss before you make it to the third one. I would say it's a fairly easier area. What you have to do is you're going to get to an area with a large platform and a large well on the backside of it. And when you get to it, you're going to see an open well, a smaller open well to the left side. What you're going to do is you're going to have everybody in the group stand on it. It's a cleansing mechanic. So you're going to grab from the well, which only one person can do, and then it goes on cooldown. Throw it on the ground. It's going to cleanse everybody. And then have the tank move toward the middle of the platform. And all the DPS are just going to stay there. And this is the point where you guys should up your con to 150, in my opinion. There's no DPS check. Just put your con up a little bit in this spot so you can make it past it. And then just continue to grab the cleanse from the small well. You're going to cleanse all the spores, all the green spores, all the other smaller wells. And while you're doing this, if you get a debuff on you, it looks like a green mist. Just walk over the pool that the cleanse makes, and it'll cleanse you. Kill the ads. Once you cleanse everything, then that area is done. There's going to be a door on the right side, a door on the left side. What we did was we had group one go to the left, group two go to the right. You go through the doors, and then you just kill a few mobs, few groups of people, and then you converge in the same spot, and you will be at the third and final boss. We made it to the third and the final boss. If you complete this once a week, reset on Tuesday, just like mutations, you can get a Gorgonite Inductor, 3 chromatic seals, 1,000 gold, and a handful of other legendary items. So, to understand how this fight works, there's going to be 4 cleansing wells. As you could see them, it's got the purple cleansing water coming down them. There's 2 on the right, 2 on the left. And how we did our positioning is we had 1 healer in charge of 2 and a healer in charge of the other 2, because what those cleansing wells do is it allows you to go over there, interact with it. It'll pick something up like a ball, and you can throw it to cleanse things. There is a bunch of different mechanics while this fight is taking place that needs to be cleansed. So they're constantly picking them up, because once you do, like right here, it's going to go on cooldown. So nobody can grab a cleanse from that well until it comes off a cooldown. So we're going to just kind of call mechanics as we see them. If you see these balls on the ground, these get thrown in the air and land on the ground from the boss. Melee DPS primarily needs to focus those. It is very important, and it seems like the greatsword does more damage to them. If you do not break them, they will spawn big enemies, which are much harder to deal with. The other mechanic that you're going to want to pay attention to, those flowers, one just opened up on the top. There's 3 of them up there. As they open up, you need to have your ranged DPS focus those right away. As you see, they drop these green smokes on the ground, which adds to debuffs on your character. So as they go down, healers are cleansing, throwing it on there, getting rid of them, like that green blob that's shooting stuff out of it. That can be cleansed. There's multiple things that need to be cleansed. So healers doing that. Melee focuses on the eggs. Range focuses on the flowers up top. And in between those mechanics, obviously everybody's DPSing, and I feel like I need to say it again. Even during these mechanics, if you can apply rend to the boss or any enemy, even the egg, even the flower, whatever you can apply rend to, do it. That will go a long way. That white smoke there that you see can also be cleansed. And that is probably one of the deadliest mechanics in this fight, because if you stay in it for a couple seconds, what your character will do is he will go to sleep. He'll stand still. You won't be able to move. And you'll be like that permanently until somebody takes a cleanse from one of those wells and throws and hits you directly with it. They are pretty easy to throw. It's pretty similar to throwing a hatchet. And there's going to be more mechanics that we will go over in the later phases of this fight. All right, so this is a good clip to go over some later mechanics right here. Once you get the boss lower, he's going to put, or she's going to put, vines on the cleansing wells. For obvious reasons, these need to be focused as soon as they come up. If you have vines over them, healers and other people will not be able to cleanse themselves. So pretty much it's manage mechanics and focus DPS or focus boss when you can. So right there is another one. When you get the boss down to lower HP, it will randomly throw a max debuff on somebody. And I just got it. Thankfully, I was able to get cleansed before it took me out. And it's just managing the mechanics, focusing the boss when you can. That's really what this boss fight is about. Um, once you get those down, I would say this is probably harder than the first boss, but easier than the second boss. So, sometimes the healers have their hands full. If you see something that needs to be cleansed, pick it up and do it. The other thing right there, he charged. That is a big mechanic that we had our healer call out, because when you cleanse the boss, a lot of times it'll charge across the map, and it's pretty much a one-hit mechanic. So, but with that being said, 50 con is what you want your DPS to be running. And as you saw right there, our healer was standing in that white cloud and it put them to sleep. Thankfully, I was by a cleanse well, picked one up, threw it at our healer. They're back in action. If you're in Discord, people just say I'm asleep. Don't say you're asleep. Use your actual name so they can look for you, though. All right, so if you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, just know that the best way to support me as a New World content creator is to check me out on Twitch at Noble Duelist TTV. I go live 6 to 7 days a week. I do a lot of in-game content. We've been doing PvE, PvP. If you guys have any questions, just want to hang out, it'd be great for you guys to come in there, chat. This video clip is the last 30% of us killing the boss for the first time. And I wrote down a list of all the mechanics that we pretty much already went over, but I'm gonna go over them again to kind of embed them and, you know, kind of put them in order rather than just like, oh, this popped up, oh, this popped up. So the mechanics are as follows. Um, Melee needs to stay on eggs as soon as and when I'm saying this stuff, I mean like as soon as they come up, they need to do this stuff. So melee needs to take care of the eggs. Range can help too. If they don't have anything that they're focusing on as far as like basically flowers, they can 100% help with the eggs. Ranged needs to take out the flowers. Healers need to cleanse. As we stated, they're going to pretty much be in charge of 2 of those fountains and just cleanse anything that needs to be cleansed. They are going to primarily focus on cleansing the tank and immediate, things that need to be taken care of. With that, they're going to have the responsibility of calling out when the boss is going to charge because it's related to them cleansing. As the DPS, you need to I run 50 con on this boss, and I don't really think you need more con than that, to be honest. So you either know the mechanics and can stay up, or you could be running 100 con, you could be running 150 con, and you're still gonna die. So if you want to succeed together, your light DPS, which should be all your DPS, need to be running 50 con. Rend, as if you haven't heard that enough in this video. As DPS, keep the rend on the targets. Do not be put to sleep. So the white clouds that we already went over, do not stand in them. Just don't go by them. Don't walk through it. if possible, right? There's one right there to my right. You know, stuff happens. Sometimes you get pushed in an area you don't want to be, but so as a DPS, help cleanse and try not to get debuffs from the mechanics, which is what we are just talking about, like the sleep, the goo, the smoke, all those debuffs that you get put on you is just adding stress to the healer, and they already have enough jobs. So, you know, them having to heal you for damage or ticks from uh mechanics that you shouldn't be taking is going to could cause you guys to not be successful. And just coordinate with your teammates. You know, when you're in Discord, just give out useful information. If you put a bunch of rend on an enemy, call it out. Hey, bunch of rend on the boss, you know, like don't flood the mic with random stuff, but just give call outs. And then finally, the last mechanic that you need to remember when doing this third boss is going to be the vines that cover the fountains. The second they come up, you need to focus all DPS. Everybody, every able body needs to focus it. So